Hey, everybody. Good evening. Getting you ready for the weekend. Hope you are doing well and are having a good day. NBA Summer League going on. The Kings and the Hawks a little bit later this evening in about 30 or 45 minutes. That's coming up. You've got, All-Star weekend next week. In other words, you got the Major League All-Star game. This is the final weekend, for baseball. You got the Home Run Derby. You got the All-Star game. You've got, the break. You've got the Open Championship. You've got the event at Lake Tahoe, the celebrity golf tournament. So, you got some things going on, that is for sure. But right now, NBA Summer League and, of course, the Midsummer Classic, which is next week in Seattle. So let me get your questions rolling right here. And again, hope that everybody is doing well as we are coming up to you now 2 hours earlier than yesterday. A lot of people said, yeah, let's do it at 7 o'clock Pacific. Let's do it at 10 o'clock Eastern. So I'm moving around the times a little bit, trying to see what works best for the majority of the people. But glad to be with you here on this Friday evening. I'm not watching the game. I'm not getting too caught up in this. I'm really not. I'm not a big believer in anything that goes on in Summer League, but I'm glad that you are enjoying it as Victor Wembanyama is making his Summer League debut. Um, Chet Holmgren body looked a lot better when I saw him a couple of nights ago in the highlights from the Utah Summer League, which you knew it would. So he looks stronger. He put some weight on his frame. I mean, I don't really get caught up in Rookie of the Year in July. I'm really not into that conversation. I'm just not. Uh, I'd say it's unlikely, Cody. I think when you look at the AFC, to me they're clearly behind Cincinnati. I'm put them behind Baltimore as well. I'm looking at the other teams. I look at the Browns, Cody, similarly to the way I look at the Jets. They might be good teams, but they're in the wrong conference. And I mean, could I see them? Deshaun Watson would have to have a year that he had 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Cincinnati, I think, would have to have some injuries. Baltimore would have to have some injuries. I think Cincinnati is the class of that division. I mean, and if their skilled people stay healthy, they'll win. They got an incredible quarterback in Burrow. All right. My thoughts on Jimmy G as the starting quarterback for the Raiders. Assuming that he's healthy, I think he'll do very well. Assuming that he's healthy, I think he'll do very well. Before Giant Stadium, was there anything in the Meadowlands? No, there was not. It was pretty much open space. All right. It's a very good question. Yes, I do. I do think the Warriors-Kings rivalry will get better, and I'll tell you why. Because last year was the first time that both teams have been good in the same year, and I think that's going to happen again this year, and I think that the rivalry grows. So, better than the playoffs? Now, that's a great question, but I think it grows. I do think that it will get better, and, maybe you'll see them in the playoffs again this year. I think the Lions are overrated. I think they're overrated. I know that they had a really good season. I know they, went in and spoiled Green Bay's hopes of making the playoffs in the final game of the season on Sunday Night Football. Their biggest hope is their division is not very good. Now you have Aaron Rodgers no longer in Green Bay. You have a Bears team that I don't think is ready to win. So you got the Vikings. That to me is Detroit's best hope. I think they might be a little bit overrated. What do you think about Detroit, everyone? You think the Lions are a playoff team? I would love to see the Warriors and the Kings as a Christmas game. That's a great idea. I think that would be dynamite. I mean, that would be great. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. I mean, that would be tremendous. That really would. I'd love to see that. That would be great. You know, that's a really good question. It's a really good question. Love all the questions coming your way. I do not see the Giants going double-digit wins this year. I don't. I think, I mean, are they as good as they showed last year? Brian Dable pulled some out of the hat last year. Opening game at Tennessee, 2-point conversion. Will Saquon Barkley get on the field and stay healthy? I do think the Giants are better with Darren Waller and some of the wide receiver additions. Defensively, I think they should be a little bit better. But do I think they go 10-7? Well, I think you got to beat Washington twice. You probably aren't going to beat Philadelphia unless that game at the end of the year is meaningless. I think you do split with Dallas. You know, you got a tough Thursday night game in week 3 at San Francisco. I'm going to say no, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. All right. Patrick thinks they may have some growing pains. Maybe, you know, maybe. But Max Crosby's as good as there is, you know, but he's just one guy. To me, the Raiders are not a playoff. All right. They're not a playoff team. All right. Let's see. I have not been to the restaurant you're referring to in Jackson. All right. So sorry about that, buddy. I can't speak on that, you know. The Serb Fest in Jackson. All right. Haven't done it, not familiar with it. Can't go wrong at Bennett's. But Bennett's in the new Rockland location is not open yet. Okay. It will be very soon, but it's not open yet. Will teams go 0-17 this season after playing San Francisco? Did that happen last year? I went right over my head. Did that happen? I was not aware of that, you know? Absolutely. It's a great question. Would I take Fox over Luka anytime? You know, I might. I may listen. I got a lot of friends in Dallas. I've got a lot of people that I'm close to around the league. Luka is not the easiest guy in the world to play with. Okay, that he's just not. So, I mean, do I think that Fox is more talented than Luka Doncic? No, not overall. I think Luka's got a better overall, all-around game. But, you know, we'll see. Luka did get to the conference finals a year ago. No playoffs this year. Had not won a playoff series until the year where they won the first 2 rounds. We'll see, you know? Well, I'm glad you enjoy the hat. Thank you. I'm a big Ping guy. Love Ping. Love their equipment, their apparel. They're great, you know? Absolutely. I did see that Nick Chubb is dedicating the upcoming season to the late, great Jim Brown. I did see that. All right, again, love your questions. All right? Love them. Keep them coming, right? Again, Luka's a tremendous talent, all right? But again, he's difficult to play with. All right? He is. I think the Lakers had a good offseason. The problem I have with the Lakers is what you and I both know is going to happen. You got older players in Anthony Davis, particularly Davis, and LeBron James, who are getting hurt on a fairly regular basis now. And I would say that when you look at that team you know it's going to happen again. All right? Just see where it is. No, Luka is not a good defensive player. It's all offensively. We know that. All right, love the questions right here. Opening night starter. I mean, if you want to have some fun with it, Sasha starter? No. Why do you think Sasha's a starter? You guys are way overvaluing Sasha. You just are. You're way overvaluing him. I'm not really following that much currently in the National Hockey League. There have been some trades of interest, but not too much. Not too much. Maybe. You got to be careful here. We're judging Luka too much based on last year. You got to remember the year before they made it to the conference finals. All right, so it's not the guy's been good. I thought he took a step back last year, but again, his style of play is just he's got the ball all the time. It's the way it is. Wrong. He's not going to be your MVP of the G League Kings. All right. Come on now. All right. Well, I'll tell you this. This is a very good question, Nico. All right. I think he's being way overvalued based on the people I've spoken to. All right. I think he's part of the rotation. I think he comes off the bench. But I think you're being overly optimistic because of you're being brainwashed because of what Luka did in that league. And the fact that Sasha was the MVP. Again, I've talked to two scouts and another individual that has watched him play a couple times, and they all pretty much had the same opinion. Be okay, nothing special. All right? There you have it. Kings will be 5th in the West. We'll see. Last year they were 49th, 49 wins, and that was 3rd. So, we'll see. Well, he didn't play in the league last year, so that would lead me to believe that he won't be playing in the league this year. There aren't any coaches that want to coach him. I mean, you got to call it the way it is. All right? You have to call it the way it is. I didn't get to know him very well, so I can't really comment on him. He obviously was not NBA caliber talent, but I didn't really get a chance to be around him. I really didn't. Yes, I had an excellent relationship with Rick Adelman. Rick was great. Absolutely. All right. I have no idea what a ceiling is. We're going to find out. That's a good question. All right. I like that question. We're going to find out. All right. No question. The answer to that is yes, he would. Yes, he would. There's no question. Although he's not very good anymore. So, but probably yes. All right. Was it 48 or 49 last year? 48? Same thing. 48, 49. 3rd in the West. That's all that matters. That's what they were last year. I think that probably you're going to have, I think the conference is going to be a little bit better in terms of games won. So I'm not so sure 48 or 49 wins will get you 3rd in the West this year. All right. There you have it. I have no interest in it, Sea-Dog. So no, you are not the only one. I've got zero interest. I have very little interest in baseball, period. I just think the game's terrible. I think it's better than it's been, but I'm just not crazy about that. I think Mata was the coach for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 2 and change. I would think so. A lot of people agree with you, Sea-Dog. A lot of people. Interesting. Love the questions. Keep them coming right here. Um, I don't know how anyone can evaluate a player in summer league. I really don't. I don't get it. All right. I don't understand how anyone can look at 10 minutes of summer league and think that you know what the player is going to be. I just don't. I'm sorry. All right. I like Ojolari. I think he's very good. Yes, I do like him. I like him a lot. All right. You know, I disagree with you about the dumb rule changes. I actually think the rule changes, for the most part, are better. There are a couple I don't like. I don't like starting the 10th inning with a runner on second. I don't like that, but I do like the other rules. All right. My take on the performance at the California Classic is big deal. So he scored 41 against a non-NBA team with non-NBA players. Why would I be impressed with that? I don't need to be impressed with Keegan Murray because I already know what he can do. I've already watched him play. I already know he's going to be a dynamite player. So the fact that he went out in summer league and scored 41 points against non-NBA competition, big deal. That's my take on Keegan Murray. Keegan is going to be a hell of a player in this league for a long time, barring injury. Okay. He's got everything you want in a player, both on the floor and off the floor. He's got the right makeup, the perspective, outlook, all of that. All the boxes are checked. And on the floor, he is going to be a tough guy to deal with. So nothing in summer league I needed to see from Keegan Murray. Okay. I just didn't need to see it. All right. Which ref complained the most? Wow. I don't know if there's an answer to that. Okay. I don't know if there's an answer to that. I don't think there would just be one that would be above the rest. All right. Well, thank you for your support. Great to have you here on the stream. I love doing it. Okay. Do I think Sabonis can be better than C Webb? I think in certain areas he is better than C Webb. First of all, he's a much, much better guy in the locker room than Chris. Much better team guy. So that's not even close. I actually think he will be better than C Webb in the totality of what you want in a player. It's a great question. Jerry and I had this debate, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And he also agreed with that. So, yes, it's an excellent question. Again, as a teammate and in the locker room, not even close. And I really mean that. So, Sabonis does not have an ego. He's not a me guy. You don't have to treat him any differently than you do the other players on the locker room. Chris, you had to treat with kid gloves. He got treated differently. There were the different set of rules. You know, Chris was a let me see the box score after the game type of a guy. Sabonis is not like that. Not like that. Okay? Not like that at all. You know, I don't know enough about Chris Duarte other than the fact that he was really good his first year and not good last year, but injuries were a part of that. And then when he came back, he lost his spot in the rotation. I like the Maloofs. I've been very open about that. I'm a fan of the Maloofs. I like the Maloofs. They're good people, and I have a lot of respect for them. So, you know, I probably knew them much better than most people, but I like the Maloofs. Were they perfect? No. Did they make some mistakes? Yes. But they're good people, and I like the Maloofs. I like them a lot. I have nothing bad to say about them. I just don't. Okay. Alex Lynn's a good guy to have on the team. I mean, I'm happy he's back too. All right. No question. Well, I mean, there aren't a lot of guys better than Fox and Sabonis together on the floor. Okay? Just the way it is. All right? Interesting question. Am I right in assuming C Webb cared more than Sabonis about getting as big a contract as possible? C Webb seemed to have the team hanging a bit when he was a free agent, Sabonis not at all. That's a really interesting question and statement, but it was known that Chris was going to get a max deal. There was nothing else that would have been offered to Chris other than a max deal. And so that really was never a topic of debate. In other words, you just knew that was going to be the case. We just didn't know if it was going to be in Sacramento or somewhere else. You know what? Unfortunately, he probably is. And I love Harry Giles, you know? Absolutely. I mean, I'm afraid to say that, you know? Yeah, there's no question. I would say it's 100% because of my father. Absolutely, you know? Um, why would you like or dislike someone based on their relationship? Explain that to me, you know? Did I miss something with the Tyra Banks blow up? Well, I mean, she used to travel with the team at times. There were times she'd be on the team plane and on the team bus and talk to her a little bit. It's always very nice. You would not have recognized her if you had been on the team bus or the team plane and you walked on and you saw her because she looked totally different in her everyday appearance than she did when she was a supermodel. I would have never known it was her. Never would have known it was her. But she was always very nice, you know? Well, yeah, I do. You're talking about that? Oh, I remember. Yeah, Chris blew up at the media a lot. That was no big deal to me. But yeah, I remember that. I was actually there. I actually saw it as it happened, you know? No question. Chris was a no-show for many things. He was a no-show after traveling on the team plane to LA for a Sunday afternoon game on NBC. And no one had seen him. Then he shows up on the plane, which was great. We thought, oh, good. You know, Chris is going to start being more active. He was hurt, injured. Sunday comes, where's Chris? Chris isn't at the game. He's not on the bench supporting his teammates. Where is he? Chris is at Rodeo Drive having brunch with Tyra Banks. You know, again, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. All right? You cannot make it up. It's unfortunate. Well, Chris lied to the grand jury. So, I mean, is that a no-show? You know? A lot of stuff on Chris. He was a diva. There's no question. He's very talented. I mean, Chris Webber is very good, you know? I don't care about that, you know? Do I see tense stuff between players and fans? Not a lot. Occasionally, but not very often. Occasionally, not very often. Like with DeMarcus, it happened all too frequently. Matt Barnes, it happened. You know, guys that could not control their temper, it happened. I'm trying to think of other players on the Kings over the years that would get into it with the fans. Jay Will did a couple times. Jay Will did. He got into it with the fans. Off the top of my head, not too many, you know, not too many. I'm not sure if Chris requested a trade or not. I don't know the truth to that. All right. Yeah, I like both these guys. You know, I still Willie Cauley Stein was a great guy. Causey and I had a nice friendship because he was from New York. He was a big New York Giants fan. Causey was very introverted. You know, he was very introverted. I do miss the celebrity golf tournament, Sea Dog. I miss it probably as much as anything. You know, absolutely. And yeah, the interviews I got up there were tremendous. Great. So I do miss that. I don't hear a lot when I was announcing games because I have a headset on and I'm doing the game. So I didn't really hear a lot live. I would either hear about it secondhand or I would hear about it from my producer and a director who could hear it, but I couldn't because I was announcing a game and then they would play it back for me. Does that make sense? It's very difficult when you're announcing a game to hear stuff from the fans. I mean, I can hear them cheering, obviously, and I can hear if somebody, yells right behind me or whistles, but I can't really hear conversations when I'm announcing a game. And again, when you have your headsets on, it really does block out a lot of that. Okay. The food always varied on the team plane depending on where we were because they would cater it from local restaurants. So it varied, but generally speaking, it was very good. And generally speaking, there were 2 or 3 choices of food that you would get. If it was provided by the airline, you would have, 2 or 3 choices. And then restaurant, you would normally have 2 choices. The food was generally very good. From the hors d'oeuvres when you got on, it was very, very good. I can't complain at all. I can't. A lot of people did not like the Peja pick. That's correct. You're right. You know, Peja, great guy. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Peja Stojakovic. Great guy. I've never had a conversation with Allen Iverson. Never talked to Allen. Never met him. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. What are you barbecuing? All right. Don't leave me hanging like that. What's on the barbecue? Don't tell us you're barbecuing and then you're not telling us what you're having. What are you making? Thank you very much, you and your dad. We really appreciate it, Rob. And I hope you have a great, great meal. That's awesome. Love to hear that. That's good stuff right there. All right. Speaking of food and barbecue and everything else, don't forget about Bennett's, Roseville, Sacramento, and soon coming to Rockland. Prime seafood and steak. By the way, you walk into their Roseville location, walk into their kitchen area. You want to talk about barbecue and steaks? Their cut of beef is top shelf. You can get it to take home for your barbecue. It is fabulous. Bennett's Restaurants.com to check out the menu and everything else. Prime seafood and steaks at Bennett's, Roseville, Sacramento, and soon coming to Rockland. All right, good stuff here on this stream. Chicken and corn. We'll enjoy. All right. Hope you have a great barbecue, great meal. All right. They're great people. Peja, great guy. Scott Pollard, great guy. Would I be surprised if Trevor Lawrence wins the MVP this year? A little bit. I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, the Roseville location I love too. I go there more than I go to the location on the corner of Howe and Fair Oaks, but I've been at both. The Roseville location's a little bit more casual. The ambiance at the location on Howe and Fair Oaks a little bit more formal. But the menu's the same. The food's great. So, yeah. Yep. I followed Scott on the Survivor show, and I watched all the episodes, and I don't even like that show. But absolutely. Yeah. Well, Vladdy is A+ across the board. Okay? A+ across the board. Yeah, there were a couple draft picks. Thomas Robinson was one. I think the draft where they had 4 first-round picks, Simmons, Mays, Causwell, Anthony Bonner, I had kind of a reaction a little bit that way. There were a few others. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I thought Ben McLemore at the time. I was a little surprised they took him. So, have I talked to Kobe? Did I ever talk to Kobe alone? Briefly. Twice. Briefly. All right. Well, first of all, they act crazy with a lot of people, not just me. So it's not Grant Napier. It's many people. All right. Many. Not just me. All right. There you have it. Well, the Purvis Ellison draft was a very weak draft. I mean, you go back and look at that draft, it just wasn't that strong. Well, hello to you too. Hello. But yeah, I don't know what Lawrence is up to these days. So I like Lawrence. Liked him a lot. The Maloofs were fabulous. They were fabulous. And the players loved playing for the Maloofs. And when they bought the team and they had money, they treated everyone like gold. They treated everyone with care. They were grateful to have you as an employee. They showed you that. They would be upfront and honest with you. They were great until the economic collapse in 2006, 2007, and then it went downhill for them. So a really rough period of time for many people in this country, not just the Maloofs. Their third tower was 90% sold out and in construction. And basically, after the economic collapse, they lost all of that. I mean, it changed them considerably. They don't even own the Palms anymore. I mean, it was the beginning of the end for the Maloofs. It just was, And I like the Maloofs. I like them a lot. Again, I've never ripped the Maloofs, really. I mean, I had some disagreements with them, but I just think when I'm looking at the Maloofs and their period of time as owners in Sacramento, they were really good. And I'll tell you again, I'm gonna repeat this. Okay. The players loved playing for them. All right. Okay. They love playing for them. They absolutely love playing for them. So just always remember that when you talk about the Maloofs. All right. So happy to have you here on the stream. Thank you very much. I like Mateen Cleaves a lot. I got to know him, and I enjoyed being around him when he was here. All right. He was a very good, easy guy to get along with. All right. Do I think the Kings would have started winning immediately? No. If they had moved to Anaheim, no. I do have contact with the Maloofs from time to time. They actually reached out to me after everything happened and send me a holiday greeting. George and Gavin. I haven't heard from Joe, but George has reached out to me a couple times. Gavin has reached out to me a couple times. And I have also reached out to them a little bit. So there, I'm sure there is. And I don't apologize for it. I like the Maloofs. They were good owners. And I also, you have to understand, I knew every single thing that was going on behind the scenes during Anaheim, Seattle, and everything. So I had a whole different perspective than most people. And I also was in a very difficult position, But anyone that follow me on a regular basis knows that after the phone call I got from George Maloof in the lobby of the hotel in New Orleans on MLK Day, telling me that they had sold the team to a group in Seattle, the very next day, I didn't care about anything to do with the Maloofs or anyone else other than trying to save the team. That's what I did. And I told you the time I ran into Gavin at a Clippers Kings game in end of March, beginning of April, where I had not seen Gavin. They had not come to Sacramento after that anymore. I don't think I had any dialogue with any of the Maloofs after then. And he came up. I went up to say hi to him. And he said, "Hey, I'm really disappointed in you." I'm like, "You disappointed in me? Why?" "Because some of the things you've been saying on the radio about us." I said, "Have you been listening to my radio show?" He said, "No, I was told that." I go, "Well, you can tell those people that they're full of you know what. And if you want copies of any of my shows, you let me know and I'll send them to you. Never said a bad word about your family. Not once." I said, "I may have disagreed with some of the things that have been going on, but I didn't bash your family on the air. And I won't. I never did. You know, never did. Just the way it is. All right. Sea Dog, you like this, huh? You think it's going to be the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys. All right. I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That would be good. I'm also okay with New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. Locally owned for over 20 years, New Works has a fix for you. Just go to sacserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Love this format. Thanks very much for all the questions. A lot of fun. We'll do it again next week. And, you know, Keon Clark was not a disappointment when he played for Sacramento. He was actually very good. He actually helped out the Kings and then, you know, ended up in prison. But he helped the Kings. There were times he helped the Kings. You know, when I think about Keon Clark playing for Sacramento, he helped the team. All right. So I don't think he was a disappointment. I really don't. I do not. Cody's got the Lions winning the North, right? You got the Lions, Vikings, Seahawks, and why is everyone so high on the Commanders? I don't understand that. Maybe you can help me out there. Why is that? I don't understand that. Yeah, it did just happen naturally. It just came out one game and it caught on. And so, yeah, I didn't plan that. I didn't rehearse that. It just came out naturally on a game one night, you know? So, the Giants-Eagles game does not need to be the best rivalry in the division. I mean, rivalries are generally when two teams are good for a period of time, and that's what happens. You know, you need to be good for a period of time. All right? That's generally how you get a rivalry. No question about that. Why are some of the people on the stream so high on the Commanders? I don't think the Rams will be dominant at all. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. I really don't. Is there any part of California I have not visited? Not really, that I think about it. I think I've been pretty much everywhere. I don't, again, could I see, what do I think about the Kings' chances of making the playoffs? I think it's good. You know, I can't predict injuries. Keegan Murray is, to me, I think he could be an all-star. I don't know about this year. And I think, again, very, very, very difficult to have three all-stars from one team. And if Fox and Sabonis are all-stars, Murray would have to be having a lights-out, incredible year. And I don't think he's there yet. I think he'll have a good year. He'll have a better year than last year. And Jerry Reynolds, he said it in the middle of the season. He thinks he needs to be playing small forward. And it's going to be interesting to see him in that position if that's exactly where the Kings will play him. All right. We'll see. They could. I mean, they're good. They are good. Got to call it the way it is. They are a good team. Got to give them credit for what they've been able to do. Hey, if you want to drop me an email, you can. Been getting some emails. Feel free to do so. gnapier@gmail.com. You can also check out my website. If you don't like that.com, grantnapier.com will get you there as well. And if you don't mind, there are new folks that are on the stream every day. If you would not mind subscribing to the channel, it would mean a lot to me. It's no obligation. You're not going to get hit with emails, phone calls, junk mail. No, just subscribe, please. Thank you very much. That way you'll know whenever I do a show. Also, if you like the content, hit the like button, the thumbs up. Again, I would appreciate that very much. All right, Michael's got the Nuggets, the Suns, the Kings, and the Wolves. I think the Wolves are an interesting team because I look at their roster and I'm like, talent everywhere, but it didn't come together last year. It did not come together. I'll tell you, I saw Keegan Murray 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago on the golf course, and he didn't have any fat on him. I mean, he looked svelte. All right. I don't use that word very often. Svelte. That's what he liked, Thank you very much. Hit the like button. It would mean a lot to me. I'm learning all these things about the algorithms and the mechanics of doing shows like this and what's important. And, little things like that are important. And so I appreciate if you like the content to hit that like button, the thumbs up, and it all adds up into the algorithms of what we do here on social media. Same thing with hitting the subscribe button. So thank you very much. Dog, I think they're a mystery. I really do. I don't know what to read into them. I know they have a lot of money in the center position. They got too many bigs. And I'm wondering, Dog, if they don't make a deal here with one of them, Well, thank you for just jumping in. Thank you. Glad to have you on the stream. But I wonder if they're going to make a move here and trade one of their guys. All right. Definitely. Who are some of the NBA analysts that I respect? You mean analysts, not play-by-play guys? Oh man, they're honestly, there are several throughout the league that I think do a very good job. It's hard for me to tell you which ones to check out. And I would also say that it's all subjective. Who you like, I may not like. That's a great question. Some of my favorite interviews of all time at the Celebrity Golf Tournament. One was Jesse Ventura, which was a unbelievable conversation that I had with him. Emmett Smith and I one day had an amazing conversation, and I will remember it forever. First of all, I was doing the show on the driving range, and my producer brought Emmett over, and I was live. So he sat down, and I said, "Hey, Emmett, my name is Grant Napier, and we're on live. Thank you very much for coming over." And my wife was sitting literally right over my shoulder, and she had this star necklace. And he goes, "Oh, Cowboys fan." I go, "Huh? Cowboys fan?" I go, "Oh, no, not Cowboys fan." "Yeah, it's got a Cowboy star." I go, No. Her name is Star. And I go, "That's my wife. Trust me, she's not." And she goes, "That's your wife?" I go, "Yeah." What's she doing with you? I go, that's for a whole nother conversation. He goes, she is from Dallas, though. See, she's a Cowboys fan. I go, no, she's not a Cowboys fan. And I explained to him, I go, I'm from New York and I'm a Giants fan, and that's not allowed in my house. That's the only rule I have. And he started laughing. So we got into the conversation that way. And every year, Cowboys were getting suspended before the season ever began. And I asked him, I go, Emmett, here's what I don't understand about players that are getting suspended. I go, I don't understand how difficult it would be to walk into the locker room and look your teammates in the face knowing full well you let them down. He goes, no, you got it all wrong. He goes, the hard part is going and telling your parents or your grandparents or your aunt or your uncle or that person that sacrificed a lot of their life to give you the life that you have, getting up at 6 a.m. and making sure that your equipment was ready and driving you here and driving you there and picking you up here and making sure that you had the money to play in this league and that league and having the support. He said, those are the people that you let down more than anyone. That's what I don't understand. And I thought it was one of the great answers that I ever had during an interview. It was great. Okay. It was great. And there were many, many, many interviews that I would have that I would listen to after I had done them. And I was just like, wow. Like even myself, I was like, wow, these are great interviews. The content that I was able to provide for 3 or 4 days every summer up there was amazing. Aaron Rodgers was always one of my favorite interviews, but being able to talk to just people in all, Brett Baer from Fox News was a phenomenal interview. First time I'd ever talked to him. It was incredible. Even when I had the former Vice President Dan Quayle on, he was a great interview. Of course, Charles Barkley was Charles. I mean, can't really get better than Charles, can you? Used to love talking to Tim Brown, who I just have the utmost respect for him. I love Tim. But I mean, there are just so many interviews over the years that I had that have always stuck out to me. David Wells was great. I remember talking to Goose Gossage, about the rivalry of the Yankees and the Red Sox and how they hated each other. Tell you, George Brett was one of my favorite interviews, talking to him about the pine tar incident and being, on that team in Kansas City and playing the Yankees and those great playoffs that they had and his approach to hitting and what he tells young people in the game. I mean, he was great as well. So incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, well, they all talked about the Bucky Dent home run, but Goose Gossage, a lot of people forget, came in relief in the 7th inning of that game. All right. That would never happen today. He came in the 7th inning and then pitched the 8th and the 9th. And he recalls, he said that Greg Nettles hated pop-ups. He was petrified of them. And when he got Yastrzemski to pop up for the final out of that game, he has a funny story about Goose saying, no, because he hated pop-ups. And of course, the pop-up went to Nettles, but he was very open about it. I said, I go, I don't like, it drives me crazy when I see, the runner on first and the first baseman laughing and making jokes. And he goes, oh, that didn't happen when we played. We hated them and they hated us. We didn't talk to them. They didn't talk to us. He goes, that was a rivalry. He goes, there was no fake nonsense about it. They knew we didn't like them and we knew they didn't like us. And there was no talking at all, that there was no talking at all. Oh, it was good stuff. Amazing. But yeah, I used to love doing those interviews. Used to love, and I talk with players from other organizations as well, and always enjoyed that. But those were Goose Gossage was great. I mean, he was, and David Wells. David wasn't part of that rivalry. He was, of course, later on with the Yankees. I used to love talking to both of those players about Old Timers Day. And Goose used to tell me what it was like to walk into the Yankee clubhouse on Old Timers Day. And he would just tell me, he would just sit there in awe of some of the Yankees that were there in the clubhouse. He would just say, I was in awe. He goes, I was just telling you. David Wells would tell me the same thing. He said, wow, there was nothing quite like Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium. All right. Love that you are asking so many great questions. Glad to have you here on this stream. Again, that makes me, I miss doing my job. I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't. If Jeff Van Gundy got fired, why didn't Mark Jackson? It really doesn't make any sense. That's why Chris Russo, I think, might be spot on, that came from the league office, it is good to see the support, not only of the Kings players. A lot of the players now go to Vegas in Summer League. I mean, it's Vegas. You're going to tell a young man in their 20s, hey, do you want to go to Vegas? Come on. So, there is the appeal of Las Vegas. That's for sure. I wouldn't be in the conversation just yet of getting to the finals. I wouldn't get there just yet. I think it's a little premature. Hello in the Buckeye State. I went to college at Bowling Green. Did you know that? 4 years at Bowling Green. Do I think the Kings could get there? Yes, I do. But, I mean, we're in July here. I don't think we should be talking about getting to the finals just yet. I really don't. Vegas is the Pattaya of America. Oh, my gosh. Pattaya is on the Gulf of Thailand, and it is a very famous party night spot. I've been to both, and there's actually a lot of truth that there are no casinos in Thailand, though, so that would be the difference. But in terms of nightlife, yes. If you ever go to Thailand, Pattaya is a lot of fun. It's about a 2-hour drive from Bangkok, easy, all highway, and it's. I got a good friend there right now, as we speak. I'm like, man, I wish I could go with you. All right. Mitch Richmond or Peja in their prime. Mitch was a phenomenal two-way player. I'd have to take Mitch by a whisker. Mitch was a great offensive player. He was a great defensive player. So, Mitch's defense was great. It really was. All right. No question. Paul, I understand your point, and I'm not dissing you or saying you're wrong. Not 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Last year at this time, Paul. Not 2 years, 1 year. I'm not watching the Summer League. I very rarely watch Summer League, so I'm not watching it. You're talking about Wemby playing. I don't really have as much interest as a lot of people do in watching someone play in Summer League. I'll watch the highlights, and that's about it. Okay? Someone says he looks good. He should look good. He's playing against non-NBA competition, so he should look good. I've always said this. If you're a high draft pick in Summer League, you better look good. You're playing against non-NBA caliber competition for the most part. Now, there are a few players that are going to be in the NBA scattered around Summer League, but for the most part, you're playing against non-NBA competition. So you have to remember that. Eduardo, back with us here on the stream. Hola, Eduardo in Chile. Well, first of all, I don't agree with you on that. I disagree with that. They've done nothing to improve their defense or rebounding. And the reason why I disagree with that is they improved their team. Okay? They improved their team by signing Sasha. I think the Chris Duarte trade makes them deeper and better. Keegan Murray is going to be better as he enters his second year. So I think that aspect makes them a better team. Now, you could say certain aspects. You want to say defense or rebounding, but their team, in my opinion, improved this offseason. All right. Is Wemby 1 of 9? Is that true? Again, I don't put is that true? He's only 1 of 9? You know? Interesting. All right. I think they are right now the best duo in the league, Jokic and Murray. Yeah. And do I think that Jokic right now is the best player in the league? Yeah, I do. You know? It is a glorified scrimmage. You know? It is a glorified scrimmage. That's why I don't really get caught up in it. That's what it is. It's a glorified scrimmage. It's a great way of stating it, you know? Absolutely. It's a great way of stating it. Hello, Napa. Hello in Napa. Great to have you joining us here from Napa. Passing and dribbling really good. All right. There you have it. Again, I'm not caught up on it. All right, so we are to the weekend. All right. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Stay out of the heat. And we'll be back, do it all again next week. Appreciate all of you here on the stream, all the chat messages. And it's always fun when we can pull up a chair together and have an open forum Q&A. Regardless of what you're doing this weekend, be safe, have fun. And thank you so much for joining me right here on If You Don't Like That. So long, everybody. Oh, boy.